Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Candid Cleaning Conversations. And today, you guys, we always have these very, very special guests on the show. Today, I actually finally got in touch with the owner of ZenMaid. Okay, so I have him right here. He's in the building. Finally, after a long back and forth, we got him. We did it tenacity. Okay, so welcome, Amar. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. How do you spell it? Ghose?
It's Ghose, pretty close actually. Yeah, it's pronounced with an H at the end, but there's no H there. So yeah, you're not the first to ask.
Well, thank you so much for coming to the show. Now, we got a lot of things to uncover with you today because you are the owner of ZenMaid. But first of all, before we even talk about the wonderful app that you have for the cleaning community, tell us a little backstory about you and just give us the backstory about who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, let me just say thank you guys so much for having me. I was saying before we hit recording, how much of your guys' content that I'm seeing on Instagram on a daily basis, and I love what you're doing for the cleaning industry and just making a lot of the stuff accessible that I think it's taken us a lot of hard years and hard lessons learned and everything. So it's great to see you guys passing down that knowledge. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, I'm Amar Ghose. I'm the CEO and co-founder of ZenMaid. So we've been doing this for 11 years now. And so for those that aren't familiar with us, we do scheduling software for maid services. So I ran my own maid service in 2012 for about a year, just over a year. I feel like I look pretty young now. Maybe I'm being a little bit generous to myself, but I mean, that was 12 years ago and I was like 23 at the time and I looked quite young for a 23-year-old at that time. And so after about a year, I think I got a little bit annoyed with sort of, it being hard to get taken seriously by both the crews and by the actual clients. And I was like, I should hide behind a computer. And so, yeah, a friend of mine essentially approached me and was like, hey, you guys have figured out this scheduling. You've built it into your website. I think that we can turn it into a software. And I guess going back further into my history or whatever, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I grew up in Palo Alto, actually. So right near Google, Facebook, all those. My dad was an engineer at a lot of those companies. And pretty much just did that. I was in tech sales in a previous life right before starting the maid service and starting ZenMaid. So that's kind of how I got there.
Wow. So oh my God. So you're the tech guy. You were techie. You were always techie. You figured out all of the pain points about scheduling.
Right.
And that's what your software is based on. Is it mainly, do you call it a CRM? Or
so we don't refer to it as a CRM. Some of our users will. CRMs are much more designed for marketing, whereas we're very strictly a scheduling software. So all the automated communications and everything that we do, they're all transactional. They're all things that you don't need somebody to opt into. There's no opt out button because they're all about your appointment. Like for example, so there's some overlap. We have some features that help people with their marketing, but we're not a true CRM. We generally recommend Go High Level to connect Go High Level and ZenMaid for that.
Awesome. So you can integrate the two?
You can connect the two using Zapier. We're planning on building out something a little bit more robust and native, but at the moment we've got quite a few. It's more technically savvy folks that are connecting the two. But there's some folks that are getting some very good results with those.
Awesome. Yeah. One of the things that I do love about your software is it is user friendly.
Very much.
Okay. Because see, like I told you at the beginning, I'm not the tech person of the company.
Yeah.
That's her. She can sit there and deal with complicated softwares. I can't. I don't have the patience. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't work. Nope.
Yeah.
That's me. Yeah. But when I got on ZenMaid, I was like, you know what? It's user friendly. It's really self-explanatory here.
Yeah. It's something.
Go ahead.
And it's something that we really pride ourselves on, and it's something that I'm always challenging the team on. That I literally have a sticker, a sticky note on my board that says "Treat customers like they're your abuela," and that's something that I've got like the team kind of thinking about, because we very much cater within the industry to the non-technically savvy. The software is designed for my mom to use or for my grandmother, to use. It's not meant for folks like me. It's a very interesting one that, if I was running my own maid service, I don't know that I would actually use ZenMaid, just because I'm technically savvy enough to make the most of some of the other systems that are out there that are way harder to use, but are more powerful if you can get them actually like working. So we focus very much on like powerful but simple, and it always has to be simple.
I love it.
I love that. That's like just talking to you, because I you know what? I don't even know why I should call me tech savvy. I'm a little bit tech savvy, but when it comes to you, like I can only imagine what it feels like being next to you, like for a day. Just going through everything that you break down, because you could make it more complex, but you keep it very simple. And I admire you for that. So I've been doing a little digging, and you refer to the ball and the chain, far as a business owner and their business. Could you elaborate for the audience and let them know how they don't have to be the ball and the chain to, their company?
Yeah. So I think really what that has to do with is, I think, just being intentional. That I think that anyone that's listening to this probably has a clear idea or memory from when they started the company and why they started the company, right? That usually they were looking for some sort of freedom or some sort of independence in their lives. And what I've tended to notice, because at this point, I think at last count, I'd spoken with something like 8,000 maid service owners in person over the past, or on the phone in the past 11 years. And something that I realized is, when you get 3 to maybe 5 years into the cleaning business, you find a lot of people where the business isn't serving them, they're serving the business, and it's generally making them miserable, right? Yeah. And that's not something that you can just snap your fingers. I'm not just saying you're miserable right now, just don't be. But if you set an intention of my life doesn't have to be like this, and I can run a cleaning business and win on my own terms, maybe it means that you're giving up that you could be making $100K a year, and instead you're making 80 or 90K a year. But is that trade-off worth it if it means more time with your children, right? I think one of you has five kids, right? I heard that on one of the other podcasts. Yeah. So if it means more time with your children. And so, yeah, I just think that a lot of people get into almost a negative sort of headspace because the business sort of beats them down. And then there's that whole ball and chain analogy. And it's something that, I just wish more people knew that it doesn't have to be that way, right? It's not an immediate fix, but it can be fixed if you just set your mind to it.
Love it.
Gotcha.
Love it.
Now, so for the people that don't have any idea what we're talking about here with this software, because I know somebody's like, okay, so what is it?
What do you do? Yeah.
So, explain to them exactly about the features and how the software can benefit the cleaning community. And is it just for maid services, or can people that specialize in commercial use the software as well?
Yeah, definitely. So great question. So to answer the last question first, so ZenMaid is designed primarily for maid services, and we're beginning to expand into short-term rental, so Airbnb cleanings. And then we do have quite a lot of users that will use it for both residential and for commercial. But if you're commercial first, I think there's better solutions that are out there. Swept is a good one that comes to mind, and there's some other ones that as much as we would love your business, I think that that you'd be better served with some of the other competitors. But if you're 50-50, then I think there's a good chance that you would prefer ZenMaid over some of the other ones. And if you're 100%, residential, then you're going to absolutely love ZenMaid. And so in a nutshell, with ZenMaid, there's one commonality that every cleaning company in the world has. And it's not being good at cleaning, because I think we all can think of competitors that are not good at cleaning, right? So what it actually is if you want to stay in business, you have to like manage your schedule, right? Like you have to know where you have to be and when, who's going to the appointments, and what the details of that appointment are. And if you don't manage that properly, it's only a matter of time until all of your clients leave because you miss things, because things aren't being communicated. And so we started with that basic concept back in 2013, and we've just tried to build more and more functionality around that. So what I mean by that is you have to manage your calendar somewhere. That can be pen and paper, or it can be Google Calendar. But if you do it in ZenMaid, by setting up your appointments in ZenMaid, you can now automatically have confirmation emails go out, reminder emails, or text messages, right? You can have mobile apps for your phones that connect all of your cleaners with all of the information. There's, clocking in, clocking out, there's payroll, we have a booking form. There's all these things that have sort of expanded off of this basic idea where you tell us your schedule and ZenMaid will come in and try to do 80-90% of the back office work, so you guys can focus on what you do best, whether that's hiring, whether that's marketing, whether that's still cleaning if you happen to be like in the field. Our goal is to just make it so that you don't need an in-house tech expert for every maid service in the country, right? Because it's just not needed. And honestly, they wouldn't be as good as like the amazing team that we have at ZenMaid that like 100% of the time is just focused on better calendar and better scheduling for you.
Right. Wow.
Right.
So I go out there, and if I do like a walkthrough with a client, ZenMaid has a form that does it have like an estimation form or something like that for the client to sign off, or?
So it doesn't actually do that, and that's in large part because the way that people price is so drastically different. But then also, even by the time that we were building in 2013, a lot of people just don't do in-home estimates anymore. That it's hard to justify them, and so we found that was almost a like a dying sort of like approach, because most people just don't want to do that. If you call, like as a consumer, if you call 5 cleaning companies, you don't want 5 cleaning companies to come in where you've got to manage to like coordinate with them to then answer all of their questions and all that. Most people are willing to pay 10 or 20% more than, the best price that they could get for the added convenience of just not having to do that. So we have a booking form that allows clients to go to your website and to book. And then we have different ways that we can help you to sort of estimate the price, but we don't have like a true estimation tool. I think actually AJ, who you guys were talking to, that was the interview that I listened to before this. I believe he has like an estimating tool. I think it's more focused on commercial, but there's a lot of ones out there that are really, really good. Whereas for us, really ZenMaid steps in and takes over once the client says yes. That as soon as it's like, okay, I'm no longer a lead, I'm going to be an actual client of yours, that's when ZenMaid steps in and starts to really do the heavy lifting.
Awesome. Awesome. So as far as the cleaners on the back end, right? I noticed a lot of our students, they're like, man, is there a software out there where it shows maybe a picture of the cleaner that's coming, or it gives the client information about who's going to be in their home? Does it do that?
Yeah, you can upload the photos of your cleaners, and then you can tell them who's actually coming. And in terms of letting them know like what to expect, all of our communications are fully customizable. So you can just change your templates one time if you want them to always clean up ahead of time, or if you want to let them know more information about the assigned cleaners. And we're actually, I think next month, we've got a couple big releases coming up next month. So one thing is checklists, which track who does what inside the homes. But the other thing that we're adding that's pretty big is we're revamping our entire invoicing system that's focused specifically on maximizing the amount of tips that your cleaners get, so that you as the owners, without having to do any additional work, your cleaners will feel like they're being paid more. And so with that, part of that is when they're asked, hey, like, how was your service? Do you want to leave a tip? It'll show on the left side, here are the cleaning technicians that cleaned your home. And then if you've uploaded those photos, then it'll show the photos. And we've seen that actually increases people's likelihood to tip and even the amount that they will tip.
Wow. So the cleaners can actually upload photos to ZenMaid.
Yeah, cleaners can do that for the notes. Only the owners can upload photos of the cleaners for like the profiles, because we definitely allowed cleaners to do that. And like within like 2 days, you had people putting stuff up that was like more like a Snapchat profile photo with like cash and like, you know, illicit substances in the background. And we were like, okay, no, like only the owners and office managers get to do this. Like, we're not going to trust the cleaners with this.
Right.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
For our company, we usually use, I know you probably heard of Slack, and use that as like the communication. And then we have our cleaners just upload the pictures to Slack, but had no idea that you can do that on ZenMaid as well. That's pretty cool. This is all in one, everything.
And while we're on the subject, I know I heard you in the interview before. You were talking about the Uber for the cleaners, like far as you being able to know where your cleaner is and when they're going to arrive to you. Is this something that has taken into an effect?
So we've added like on the way SMS, where it makes it really easy for the cleaners when they have completed one job. It'll ask them, you know, do you want to notify the next client that you're on the way? And with one click, it'll send it over. It's not quite to the level that I've envisioned it yet, that like I have almost like a Sims style map in my head that just shows you where all of your crews are and who's making you money, and turns it into almost a little video game where in the top right there's just a cash bag and it tells you how much money like your business has earned. So that's something that like my dev team is like, all right, Amar, we get it. We've got the vision too, but we're not there yet. But it's coming, but one step at a time.
Awesome. Okay.
What does it look like for the back end of the software company that you run? Like how many people does it take to really run this thing? Like, what is the back office looking like?
We have about 30 people that contribute to the software on a regular basis, or contribute to the company on a regular basis. So we actually just did a team retreat with 22 team members. That was in the Netherlands. That was a lot of fun. That was only maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago that we did that. And so, you know, I think it's like any organization that's delivering kind of like a product like ours. I mean, honestly, it completely blows my mind how many people, when I stood up in front of everyone for that retreat, I was just thinking to myself, like, this is so cool, but how do we have this many people, you know, bought into this vision and working towards this mission? Because, you know, it was just me and my co-founder for the first 4 years. It was about 4 years in that it finally felt like we were beginning to have a bit of a team. And so, yeah, it's kind of a weird feeling, but a great one.
Awesome. I know a lot of people come to us and they're questioning about whether they should bring on a partner, add someone to their business, and they are dealing with the trust factor. So I know in the beginning you did have a partner, but then things took a turn for the difference, and then you got another partner. So how did you deal with that? Like, how do you recognize who's the right partner for you that you should partner with?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing, just to caveat like this answer a little bit, is I think that thinking about partnerships is going to be very different in my position running a software company versus like a cleaning company. Yeah, like I think if you've got a running, working cleaning company, chances are you can pay somebody to help solve your problems and you don't need a partner with anyone. Or on the technical side for me, so despite being known as the tech guy in the industry, I'm actually not technical. So like I don't do any of the coding. I'm the sales and marketing and, you know, like the true kind of like CEO like role at this point. But I have had 2 co-founders now, like two CTOs that have worked with me over the years. And I think what you said of that, a lot of it or like people are concerned on the trust thing. I think that's probably the number one thing is it's a given that they need to have the skills that you're looking for. And especially if you're a cleaning owner and you're thinking about these things, you want to make sure that they have complementary skills to you. You don't want to have the exact same skill set, right? You don't need, two people that are leading in that sort of way. You want one person that's maybe more systems thinking and the other person that's more of a people person, just as an example. You want to have like that sort of split. I think that really, though, it does come down a lot to trust and communication and clear thinking. And one of the best things that I've heard, so if anyone out there listening right now is thinking about like bringing on a partner, I heard on a podcast recently about actually doing this with like a potential romantic partner, as in like before getting married. And that's talking about what you actually want, both in life and out of the business, and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And I think that a lot of not even bad partnerships would be avoided, but a lot of problems in partnerships would be avoided if you started with that and just made it clear of, I have 5 kids. I'm not willing to work 80 hours a week, right? Like just like period, like I cannot handle that in my schedule. So we need to win working on 40 hours a week, like, or less, right? Because to me, working 50 hours a week, that's no longer the definition of winning. I don't care how much money we're making at 50 hours a week, this chalks up to a loss on my board, right? And so having that sort of clarity is something a lot of business partners don't have when they go in, and it causes all sorts of problems because that just isn't well defined.
Yeah, that's true. I always tell people that it's always exciting in the beginning when you found this wonderful partner and it's like, yeah, we're going to make this money. We're going to do it. I always tell my students to like, think about all the bad stuff that could happen first. And you guys just lay that down. Like what would happen if this happened? Talk about all the bad stuff first and then come back to the table. Okay.
I love it. Well, another thing, I love the fact about ZenMaid where you're able to just 3 simple steps. I know you have said it before, just the booking, the scheduling, and getting paid. It's just like, you don't have to be so complex. And I love the way that you put everything. But how did you get so narrow down? Because us as business owners, we're trying to create so many things because we want the experience to be great for our clients. But how did you do that? How did you simplify it just to 3 simple steps?
So I think that we started out with a very, very simple idea and a very simple product. And because in the beginning, our initial release in 2013 was essentially just it almost looked like Google Calendar and just added on the SMS and email reminders that were set up specifically for cleaning companies. And so I think it was very much built into our DNA that, and honestly, I mean, I think that a lot of these things they've developed organically over time. I'd be lying if I said that I went into this thinking like, okay, we're going to keep it to 3 simple steps and all that. It's really more that we launched with what we knew. We launched with what we were confident would help the market. And then the reason, that I'm talking to you guys 11 years later is because it's not a one-time solve, that it's something that even now we're constantly getting feedback. I mean, we're getting more feedback than ever 11 years in, and we're developing all sorts of things that some things I've been aware of for 11 years that, we needed to add at some point. And then we have things like we just added in a safety button so that if one of your cleaners is ever feeling unsafe in a client's home, there's essentially like a one-click button that sends out an SOS to all other team members or to your office staff in case someone's nearby and can come. And that was just because of a horror story that we heard from one of the clients. And so, I mean, really, it's an ongoing thing. Our development is entirely customer-led. It's entirely listening to customers, them telling us our needs. And then I think that being able to communicate about complex ideas in a simple way, I think is something that's very, very powerful. And so that 3-step simplicity that we have, it just makes it so much easier to digest what ZenMaid can bring to any cleaning business owner. And so, behind the scenes, it's a lot more complicated than just those three steps. But ultimately, it boils down.
Right now.
Right.
I know.
Really.
But so do you actually think that it's easier to scale a maid service than the commercial world?
Yeah.
Do you think it's easier?
So I think that it's easier to make a lot more money with commercial cleaning. That it's very, very rare that I see a truly residential maid service that's doing more than maybe $1.5 or $2 million a year. There are definitely some that are out there, but they're more the exception than the rule. The vast majority of companies at some point between 500,000 and $1 million start taking on more commercial clients because they will have like longer contracts and just pay more money, in large part because you're oftentimes getting 20 appointments from a single client in like a month. So I don't know. I feel like it's one of those that it's probably I'm not sure which one's necessarily like easier to scale, but I do know that going to a higher amount is easier at the commercial side. But also I think that if you're new to the cleaning industry and you're listening to this, you're probably more comfortable with one or the other. And in that sense, that's the one that you should probably pick, not necessarily the one that's more lucrative if you're trying to get your foot in the door into the industry right now. But yeah, I mean, definitely more money to be made in commercial.
Yes, they always see you guys got the answer because people ask me that all the time. So I just wanted you to answer it because I'm tired of it. Right. And I always tell people that it's pros and cons with both you guys. Like, you know, and just like you said, it boils down to the person that's running the business. You know, Ms. Johnson may be able to tolerate both. You probably can't, though. You know, if it run into some people that are just like, listen, I need my money today.
Right.
I want them to book online. I don't have time to chase clients. If anybody watches Survive in the cleaning industry, you see our horror stories all the time. We're completely transparent with our journey. We chase money. We have people do chargebacks, but you can get them in both industries. Both ways.
Exactly.
Good thing. Yeah. What do you do about, because you know ZenMaid like the back of your hand, you know exactly what it does. How do you deal with customers trying to say, well, it's not what it does, and they try to deal with the chargebacks? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, do you deal with chargebacks?
So we integrate with Stripe, Square, and Authorize. So those are all the credit card processors that would handle that. So if there were chargebacks, it would go through those those platforms. What we recommend though, and where we try to help people out, is we're trying to encourage everyone to take photos and to like use ZenMaid to take photos and to upload all the photos, because it makes it a lot easier when there's a chargeback to go to Stripe and to be like, hey, here are appointment notes complete with before and after photos, right? Like it's real hard for someone to deny that when you have that sort of evidence. And so, yeah, we try to have stuff like that makes it easier in terms of documentation, so you can go and win those chargebacks. But that's really the extent of it.
Okay. So let's say somebody wants to join ZenMaid today. Okay. And they're completely confused when they get on the software because they're just not a techie person. How is your support team? Like, do you have anyone that can say, hey, you know, we can help you out with that booking form. We can, you know, do all the techie stuff for you and maybe a little fee. But how does that work? Right. Do you have anyone that can help our people out?
Yeah, definitely. And then that's part of kind of the core the core target that we're serving, is that we expect people to be coming in. And I mean, a lot of people come in and will jump on the phone with us and will apologize and be sorry, I'm not very, technically savvy or whatever. And to us in our heads, we're like, oh, like you're perfect. Right? Like you're who we're trying to help. Right. And so, yes, we have we have a, great support team led by Laura, who has like some experience working with maid services and in maid services. And so we have quite a few team members that are former maid service owners or former maid service office managers. So we have like very, very expert like support and everything. Any new member can sign up for calls with our team team that's free of charge. And then we can even upload your clients, your employees, and even your schedule. Only the schedule costs anything. Everything else is completely like free. That if you're using another software, you can just change your password, share your login information with the ZenMaid team, and we'll go in and just move everything over. It's rarely 100%, but our goal is to remove 80 to 90% of just the stress and headache of like changing systems, because we all know how much of a headache it can be to change scheduling systems. And so, yeah, we've tried to make that as easy as possible. And our opinion, or like our perspective on the matter, is like, hey, we're the tech experts, not you. That, you're the cleaning business experts. And so you shouldn't be spending time reformatting a spreadsheet and taking an hour to do that, when like I've got someone who's done hundreds of them that will literally take 3 to 5 minutes, might have a couple of questions for you, and then can have the entire problem solved in less than an hour without all the frustration and headache. So we try to go above and beyond.
I love
it. We definitely need that in this industry.
Yes.
Thank you so much for creating that hands-on support team. Okay, you hear that? Hands-on support team, you guys. All right, so the next question I have is, some people have employees, some people have contractors, right? And they may pay them differently, right? Yeah. So let's say this person wants to pay hourly, this person pays flat rate. How does ZenMaid help the business owner out with that?
Yeah. So you just said two of the main ones, right? Is flat rate and hourly, and then like a percentage or like a revenue share kind of one. Those are probably the big three ways that people are paid in the industry. And so what ZenMaid is set up for is that you can set up your payment system on a per cleaner basis. So if you happen to be working with both contractors and employees with a different pay setup, then you can have it set by employee. Most people all are by cleaner, I mean, just because not everyone's an employee, but most companies have either employees or they have contractors. So all cleaners in the system are paid the same way, but we have ways to deal with all three of those. So we always think that it could be better. I can think of a couple like issues with it and improvements that I'd like to make there, but on the whole, it's quite solid and really like helps people a lot, especially if you're using the mobile apps and having your team members clock in and out. Then that's where the system really begins to get powerful between different devices.
Awesome. Okay. Does it do a split? So like when the client pays, like does it do a split, or is that something that you have to do on the back end?
It should do a split if you have multiple people with the revenue. I'd actually have to check on that. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. Anyone listening, in case you go to our support team and go, Amar said it did this. I question myself after.
We're trying to get it to do all the pain points. We're trying to get it to do everything. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to ask you, because I wasn't sure if it did this, but payroll. So it's time to pay your people out for the week or bi-weekly. Does it calculate how much you owe the cleaner so that you can just pay them out?
So yes and no. It will help you to calculate everything that the cleaner is owed, but it does not take into account any taxes or local jurisdiction or anything like that. That because ZenMaid is not limited to the U.S., and even if it was limited to the U.S., the state laws vary very massively. So it can help you to figure out sort of like before deductions, this is how much like you owe, and that makes it easy for you to take that information and to then go to a true payroll solution, to go to QuickBooks Online or Paychecks or ADP, any of those, to give them that info, and then they can take it from there, distribute payments and all that. So some people will use ZenMaid like 100%, but especially as you get bigger, you usually need a true payroll solution.
Good. So it integrates with QuickBooks, correct?
Via Zapier. That's another one similar to Go High Level that I'd like to see that be a little bit more robust, but you can connect them. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Cool. My question is about templates, because I know you have templates inside of ZenMaid. Yes. Are there workflows that could be set up inside of ZenMaid. So like the process of when you go on the walkthrough and the service agreement is sent out, and then you get a notification, like, are you able to do that inside of ZenMaid as well?
Yeah, you are. It's not quite a workflow because, or rather, a better way to put it is we have built out the workflow with a variety of things because all of the appointments are very similar. They follow all very similar timelines, and then every one of our users can opt into as many of those 6 or 7 steps in the workflow like as they want. That again, like with our types of users, people generally aren't going to go in and figure out a workflow and set all of that up. That even the folks that are using, Go High Level and other CRMs, they tend to have technical help that are actually implementing. And so yeah, for us, it would be like, okay, cool. So when you create an appointment, do you want an immediate confirmation to go to your client just to make sure that you've written down everything, all the notes are correct, there's no inaccuracies, typos, etc.? Do you want that to happen? Yes or no? Great. You click yes, then that'll go out automatically. Do you want a reminder to go out the day before? Yes or no? And then the follow-up message. And so you can edit all of those individual templates and then choose as many of them as you want to use. And so, yeah, it's to each their own.
I love that. That was my whole point, because it's so simple. Like, it's not complex. Like, a lot of people might feel they need all this stuff, and nothing against it. You can use all of that stuff. But I love the way ZenMaid has simplified the whole process.
Yes.
It's like you said, a 5th grader can do it. And I love the fact that abuela, you said, just I'm going to design this for my abuela so that way their experience is good and they don't have to worry about, well, baby, can you do this for me? Because I don't know how to do it. I love it. And I also love the fact that you're always there for people. I love the community, that you have. Everybody is a part. It's not like you have one person that's doing something and somebody else is doing something else. It's together and it flows. And I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
How many maid owners do you have on the software now? Do you have that?
So we're closing in on 3,000. We're closing in on 3,000, and that includes our free users. So for those of you guys listening who weren't aware of that, if you have two cleaners or less, so the owner plus 2 cleaners, we do offer a free version, and that's free forever. And that's just designed to be better than Google Calendar. So if you're listening to this and you're quite small and you're using pen and paper or Google Calendar, you can come in and get a true contact management solution completely for free. And then at some point, if you if you are successful enough and do want to grow, if that's part of where you want your business to be, then we're happy to help you and offer quite a few more features.
So how much? Let's talk about that. Let's talk more about that.
Look,
So how much is ZenMaid for the bigger cleaning companies?
So ZenMaid, the pricing is really simple. It's just $49 a month plus $9 per cleaner or office manager. So if you have 5 cleaners, then you're paying around $100 a month. If you have, 15 cleaners, then you're closing in on $200. And so, it's very, very simple pricing. And, it's very, very straightforward. That was the simplest way that we were able to sort of align how we sort of help you to succeed. And our goal was just that, as you succeed more and more, you'll be charged a little bit more, but it's because we're helping you to manage more and more within the business. And then also it's just simple, that I think that we've got some competitors where you look at their pricing page and you just have no idea what you're ultimately going to pay. And so we try to be very transparent with that.
Okay. I love that. So the price raises, it just depends on how many people you have. Because I know with some softwares, you may have to pay higher to get different features, but on yours, you get all the features, all the things, right? And you just pay as you grow. So you're making money as the company grows.
Yeah, that's correct. And then we may introduce some like feature limitations in the future, but those are going to be specifically ones that like the smaller guys don't need and won't miss, right? That we don't want to be nickel and diming people and it being like, oh, like, you want this basic feature, it's gonna cost like XYZ like more. So yeah, but yeah, we're just trying to keep it simple, trying to keep it like logical and everything, and just keep it transparent.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
So what differentiates you from the competition, the other scheduling softwares out here? We got Booking Koala, we got Jobber, a few others. Like, what differentiates you from the competition? What makes ZenMaid so special?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that I think we've got a nice sort of like position here, like in the market and everything, right? So if you look at it, the strength of ZenMaid is really in the management, but also in the simplicity. That like, if we're being completely honest here, us, like ZenMaid, Booking Koala, Jobber, all those guys, the features are very, very similar, right? That we all have our own versions of booking forms. We all send reminders. We all offer invoicing, right? The feature for feature, it's almost the same. Right. Except for the fact that when you're in ZenMaid, out of those three, it's the only one that's specifically for cleaning companies. And that gives us a big advantage, in my opinion, that I think that when you're inside the software, that's one of the reasons that ZenMaid feels so simple, because it's just designed for you. Right? Like Booking Koala and Jobber, both great software, right? I have a ton of respect for the founders there and for the teams there, and they're doing some amazing stuff. And both are raising the standards like of the industry, right? So only good things to say about them. However, they're focused not just on cleaning companies, they're also trying to help electricians and plumbers and lawn care folks. And so sometimes it's even just the terminology in there, or you go into the settings, and the settings is such a mess because it's asking you for all these different things, and for good reason, right? Like for them, it makes total sense. But for a cleaning business owner, it's like, why am I looking at this? Like, why do I have all of these options? And so like my kind of thing is, first of all, we're considerably like more affordable than all of like the competition that you could argue is more powerful, that we're simpler, we're easier to use. And then the other thing is that even if you thought that Jobber or Booking Koala was better software than ZenMaid, is it better for you if you're not able to make use of it? And that's really the power and simplicity, is that every user on ZenMaid will get close to 100% of the power from ZenMaid. And with most of our competition, it's credit to them for how powerful their software is. But at the same time, most people can't even begin to scratch the surface because it's just too technical. And so that's kind of like the niche that we've sort of found. And then also, I think that, like you guys said, I think that people can really just tell just how much we care, and like how long we've been in the industry. We run the Maid Summit, the virtual conference for maid services that we've done. I think this will be our 5th or our 6th year doing it. We have our Facebook group with 10,000 people. Like, we've been in the industry for a long time. We're putting up great content. And so a lot of it is just showing up every day and showing up specifically for this niche and just being like, you're all that matters to us, right? We're not looking at, going off and trying to make more money by going into painting and going into all these other things. It's just you guys, right? And I think that as time goes on, the differences get more and more stark.
I love that, because so many people, they're all over the place, right? Because you get it misconstrued on the internet, like you have to do all these things to become successful. But if you just take one thing and become successful at that one thing, it's like you can grow it and grow it and grow it over the years. And if you want to add on something, that's you. But I love the way that you have perfected ZenMaid. And I cannot stress it enough how wonderful ZenMaid is. But let me tell you something. I do have one thing I heard you say on the interview, and I said, as soon as we get on this interview, I was going to talk to you about it. So
here we go.
Can we have a person here? Can we have a person?
Let's do it.
All right. So I heard you say on the interview, like with a press of a button, that you can get like 100K if you wanted it. Like, so can you care to share and elaborate? Like,
just like that?
Yeah.
It's I have an email from Stripe from like 4 days ago or something that just says like, $250,000 is on its way to your bank account or whatever. So essentially for us, what it is we've worked with Stripe for a long time. And so Stripe pre-approves people for loans. And so it would be like Stripe is where all of our revenue goes through. And so Stripe can see how much money we're making on a monthly basis. And so, yeah, they've pre-approved us for things. And it's quite surreal, but it's funny that you guys bring that up because it used to be 100K and now it's like 250. And when times were good during the pandemic, they'd offered us like 800K at some point, which just doesn't seem very responsible. To be completely honest, I'm just like, this seems too easy, you know? I mean, we do have to pay it back. Like for the record, like it's not like free money or anything, right? It's like we're gonna pay it back, but still, it's pretty nice to just be able to do that. Because yeah, when we took money like this week, which we don't do very often, I think I just tend to be a little bit more fiscally conservative, and I just looked at that and was like, you know what? If we take $250,000 right now, that just kind of makes things just kind of smooth for at least a year, that we just don't really have to worry about too much, so we can just focus on doing what we do. And like, we're probably not going to spend most of that money. We're probably going to end up paying 10% interest on it and not ever need it. But to me, it's just peace of mind. It allows me to sleep better at night. And I think that's what we were talking about at the very beginning with like the whole ball and chain thing, is that like, I've run this business for 11 years. I started it because I wanted, time independence and location independence and all these things. I don't want to be stressed out about money at the end of the day. And, if I can pay a little bit of money in interest, in 12 months time to sleep well at night, to me, that's well worth the trade.
I love it. So if somebody was trying to maybe start their own app, or if they had some ideas, like, I don't even know how you got started on the aspects of creating, ZenMaid, but how would they do that?
So honestly, times have changed a lot. So for me, when I started 11 years ago, it was a friend of mine who was quite technical and could build software who approached me and essentially said, hey, I've seen what you guys are doing. I think I can turn this into a software, and I'm very confident that you can go out and sell and market it. And that was kind of how we got started. I do think that you'd probably want to find someone like that again now, but with all of the AI technology and no code tools and all that, I think that it would be much easier to create an early prototype and to, show your friends, to get some actual validation in the market. For us, it was 7 or 8 months of development that now I would say you could probably get done in, like 4 to 8 weeks if you were clear on what you wanted and had someone talented that was working alongside you. But I mean, to more directly answer your question, if you're non-technical and you have an idea for something like that, the main thing to think about is validation. That if you can find a way to approach technical people to potentially build a solution for you, and you can show them like, hey, I have 100 people on a wait list that I can show you the email that they have explicitly said that they are interested in paying for a solution that does XYZ. Here's what I have in mind. Can you build it? That's something that'll go a really, really long way, because you have to remember that, especially like talented technical people that can build things themselves, if anyone knows that, they're going to be getting approached by idea guys all the time. And having an idea is cheap, but execution is not, right? It's all in the execution. And so from a technical perspective, if you were to approach someone technical and be like, hey, I have an idea for an app, but not only do I have an idea for an app, 100 people have told me they're interested. That demonstrates that the tech person isn't going to be wasting their time, that you already know how to go out and get people's attention. Because the whole thing is, if someone's listening to this and going, oh, Amar, like, how am I going to go and find 100 people to get to agree to this? Well, right. The answer to that is, well, if you can't do it now, then how do you expect to do it when you actually have a product?
Right.
And so it's really just thinking, how can I de-risk this for the technical person? Because especially early on in the company, for the first couple of years, the technical person is the one that's taking the massive risk, not the other person, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just good to think about it like that way, because I think too many people think that their idea is everything, and it just the idea is important, but it takes a lot more than that. Like, the idea is 3 to 5% of the work, and like it's 3 to 5% of the work that you have to do, but you know, it's tip of the iceberg.
Oh man, listen, you need to do an internship or something so somebody can come and like spend the day with you or something, like maybe put that in the works. But where's Lola?
Lola is with with one of the dog sitters right now. I don't have her tonight. I didn't want her barking in the background. Actually, that was part of the reason I had her off.
Like, where's Lola?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned AI. I was going to ask you, do you plan in the future to like implement anything involving AI? Because AI is, I took a class a couple of weeks ago, and this lady was talking about some new things that are coming up, and I was just completely blown away. I'm like, this is crazy. You can literally click a button. It'll create a website for you. It will create emails for you. You can literally do, I know you heard of ManyChat, but you can have a whole conversation with someone. It's AI, you know, so crazy. Have you thought about like implementing, like what type of AI features are you guys thinking about for the future?
Yeah. Great question. So we're definitely going to incorporate AI like into the future, and I don't know how, I don't know when, but it's very clear from looking at just kind of where the world is going that AI is going to play a big part in it. But I think that something that I've definitely learned over the years is there's always going to be new technologies and flashy, like shiny new objects that you can go off and you can play with and you can like do. And so I have a couple of team members that are doing that. You know, I use ChatGPT and have a couple AIs that help me to do different things. But one thing that I kind of talked to the team about was, hey, like we're not adding in AI for the sake of adding in AI. AI is just like any other tool in our tool belt. And as a tool in our tool belt, it can be used to solve very specific problems. So when we find the right problem, we can bring in AI as a solution. But I don't want to hear like where we're brainstorming from like the AI like first, right? It's focus on the customer problems, and some of those problems AI will make better. But yeah, I mean, for example, you know, I don't think that we're that far away from having like AI powered scheduling where it's not like, it wouldn't be automatic, because I think that it's very, very important the office manager or the owners be making a lot of the scheduling decisions, but we can begin to make suggestions, right? That we should be able to, you know, in the relatively near future to go, okay, like this person has been like canceled and you're looking to rebook them. There's no reason that our system in the future won't be able to go, you know, based on what we're seeing, here are the 3 logical spots for you to like to consider, right? And then for the owner to make the final call. And so there's a couple of things like that. But the other one, I don't think we actually have a domain for it yet. Maybe I'll get this domain and put it live before this goes live. But we've put together almost like a maid coach. So I'm guessing it'll probably be maidcoach.ai or something like that, where it's essentially we've uploaded all of our blog articles and all of our YouTube content into this AI chatbot. And so you can go in and you can say, hey, I'm in, like rural North Carolina. Give me 10 marketing ideas that'll get people's attention, and it'll give you 10 ideas, and we'll take into account all the information that you've given it and everything that we have on the blog. So that would be one way. Of course, that's not part of ZenMaid, but it was just an interesting use case using AI to help the industry more. So we're exploring different things like that. But like I said, we always want to start with the problem and with the customer experience first. And if AI is part of the solution, then great. But if we can solve it another way, then we're going to consider that as well.
I love it.
You know what? He just gave me an idea. All right, I'm gonna get my 100 people. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get my 200 people. Nice. We're gonna talk.
All right.
She wants to create another app. She has an idea every year. She's like, I got another idea. I'm like, oh yeah.
So I'm gonna get my not 100. I'm gonna get 200 people.
200. All right.
Because my problem is before I was trying to create a solution for everything, but simplicity is the key. If you can just solve one problem, I think a lot of people, that's where they get it misconstrued, that they're trying to just so many things instead of just concentrating on that one thing. So just talking with you today, it gives me the clarity. What is the one thing that people are having issues with? And I got it. I don't want to say it because I don't want to do my idea. But we're gonna be in communication. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll hold you to it. 200.
There you go. So ZenMaid is such a powerful software. And I've noticed that it's a trend of softwares like doing this whole white label thing. Have you thought about white labeling ZenMaid?
So it's something that's come up. It's been suggested a couple of times. I think that, yeah, we've considered it. I think it's kind of a tough one to do technically, and so we've never really been sure if it's essentially worth the effort. Though we've had a couple of people that have expressed interest, but I think it's a very different kind of software than something like Go High Level, which can be used in every industry. So we have considered it. We've considered white labeling it for influencers and consultants like yourself, so that you would potentially be able to go out and to sell ZenMaid as like your own like branded thing. We have like an affiliate program and a referral program that like sort of half solves that right now. But then we've also had some customers that have contacted us and have wanted to know if like they can essentially make it look like it's their own, like internal like software with their own branding and everything. And so that's what I was talking about before, where like some of the pricing might change and be feature gated. I could see if we redo our pricing and introducing like a pretty like high level plan, I could see us introducing something like that. But it's another one. We've got to talk to the market and see how much that matters to them.
Oh yeah. Oh
my God, I don't care. Every time you talk, it's like man,
your juices are flowing.
Yes,
girl.
Like oh my God, so many ideas, Lord.
Well, the time has come for us to close it down, you guys, because it's been a whole hour we've been on here. I don't want to take any more of your time, but you have been one of my favorite guests. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm not gonna lie either.
Interesting. This has been a really, really deep dive into ZenMaid, you guys. So anybody that is looking for a software, preferably if you guys are in the residential maid service, this is the software for you. Okay, it completely solves all of your problems when it comes to scheduling. Okay, you guys. All right. So please let everybody know. Close it down and let everybody know what the website is and how they can find you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, if you guys are interested in learning more, it's just head over to ZenMaid.com. You can sign up for a free 14-day trial there. You can watch a demo of the software that I think is about 30 or 40 minutes, where you can see everything that the software does. But I encourage everyone to sign up for a trial and to test it for themselves. Like any software, it's not for everyone, but if it is for you, then you're going to absolutely love it. And our team would love to hear from you. I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that if you've listened to this, if you're interested, what I'd encourage you to do is to go sign up for a trial, and then don't hesitate to ask for help, right? That if you need anything, we're completely used to that. And we try our hardest to make the software as simple as possible and easy to use without any help. But we're very, very aware that no matter how perfect the software is, there's always going to be questions. There's always going to be a little bit of confusion. And so just reach out and ask for help. And then if you guys are interested, we've got 2 Facebook groups, one that's just for customers and one that's for all maid service owners. So that's the ZenMaid Mastermind. And then I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this yet, but we're doing the annual summit, I think in January or February. So you'll both be getting an invite to speak on that and everything. So we're about to start announcing that. That hasn't officially been announced yet, but people can visit maidsummit.com if they're interested in pre-registering for that, and that's 100% free. So I encourage everyone listening to go and to check that out.